In a small town where narrow streets slowed the pace of time and people felt a closeness to one another, Bob Ross lived. Bob was a painter, known for touching everyone's heart with his gentle voice and calm demeanor. However, his fame wasn't solely built on his happy little trees and happy little clouds. It also stemmed from the magical power hidden in his brush. According to legend, the brush Bob Ross wielded did more than just apply colors to a canvas. It brought hope, love, and unity to every surface it touched. Bob's studio was located at the top floor of an old building in the heart of town. From the window, the morning sun spread over the town like a golden curtain, gently illuminating the gray walls of the streets with soft hues. Every morning as Bob entered his studio, he would reflect on the memories of the previous day and the hopeful gazes of the townspeople before he picked up his brush and delicately made the first strokes on his canvas. His brush strokes moved with such rhythm that those watching felt as though they were hearing the melodies of nature, slowly noticing the blooming flowers within their own hearts. The townspeople would gather outside Bob's studio to listen to his soothing explanations, and in doing so, they began to discover the beauty that lay within themselves. Yet, alongside this peaceful way of life, the poorer neighborhoods on the outskirts of town had been scarred by economic hardship, prejudice, and discrimination. People had grown distant from one another, and the warm friendships of the past had given way to cold separations. It was during these trying times that the magical power of Bob Ross's brush was ready to shine once again. One day, while wandering the streets, a young teacher named Emily encountered walls covered with black and gray graffiti. These dark images symbolized the discrimination and hateful rhetoric that the town had endured. A deep sadness filled Emily's eyes, for these images clearly showed that love and tolerance among people were being replaced by prejudice. That evening, as Emily passed by Bob Ross's studio, she noticed a handwritten note hanging by the door that read, "Every brushstroke can repaint our hearts. Don't lose hope." Those words sparked something inside Emily. The next morning, summoning her courage, she walked toward the studio. The door was slightly ajar, and from within drifted the gentle sound of music and the soft rhythm of brushstrokes. As she stepped into the studio, she was mesmerized by the garden of hope Bob Ross had created on his canvas with his vivid colors. Bob greeted Emily with a warm smile, saying, "Welcome, my dear friend. Here, we all learn to add color to our hearts." Bob then shared with Emily the secrets of his brush, the soul of the colors, and the deep meaning behind every stroke. He explained that painting was not just an art form, it was also a force that could illuminate the darkness within people. For Bob, his brush was like a magical wand. With each gentle touch, old resentments, prejudices, and divisions gave way to love, unity, and understanding. Deeply inspired by Bob's words, Emily resolved to bring about change in the town herself. Of course, every beautiful transformation faces resistance from dark forces. Some segments of the town, clinging to old traditions and unable to accept differences, had become estranged from one another. They believed that the new order Bob was creating would disrupt the existing way of life and damage the town's deep-rooted structure. A group of narrow-minded individuals began organizing protests in front of Bob's studio. Their demonstrations, filled with non-violent yet harsh slogans, cast a dark shadow over the town's streets. One evening, a large public meeting was held in the town square. The protesters took the microphones and shouted, "Our differences do not divide us, but we must also preserve some of our traditions." Standing in the center of the square with a large canvas spread out before him, Bob prepared his brush. Taking a deep breath, he began to speak in a calm but powerful tone. Dear friends, in this world, each one of us is like a color, like a melody. Together with our differences, we create the beauty of life. Even in the darkest times, there is a light hidden within each of us. Let us bring that light out together. Every stroke of my brush doesn't just paint a canvas, it repaints our hearts. Real change begins with the love and understanding we share. Bob's words profoundly affected the crowd. In that moment, the anger on the protesters' faces turned into astonishment, and fear gave way to hopeful glances. With tears in her eyes, Emily murmured, "Yes, we are all one family." That evening, Bob's magical brush began to transform not only canvases, but also the very soul of the town. As time passed, the streets of the town were once again filled with color. The walls that had once been dull and gray were adorned with vibrant, hopeful murals created through the collective efforts of Bob and the townspeople. In every neighborhood, people from different cultures, ages, and backgrounds began to paint their own stories. These artworks formed bridges that connected people and shattered prejudices. Every art exhibition held in the town square was not only a visual feast, but also carried messages of social justice, equality, and unity. Bob Ross became a symbol of the town. His studio evolved into more than just an art center. It became a sanctuary where people could heal their inner wounds, come together to mend themselves, and be reborn. Bob began offering free workshops to share the magic of his brush with everyone. In each class he taught, he would say, "There is a light within every one of us. All it takes is a little touch to bring it out," encouraging the participants to discover their own colors and embrace their differences. Inspired by Bob's message, Emily also developed social projects aimed at uniting the town's youth. She organized art therapy sessions in schools and set up workshops designed to help young people build empathy for one another. Her work soon made a significant impact on the town. People began to set aside the pain of the past and look toward the future with hope. Throughout every corner of the town, the unifying power of art and love resonated as prejudice was replaced by understanding and tolerance. One winter evening, a grand festival was held in the town square, a celebration that symbolized the town's rebirth, led by both Bob Ross and Emily. Colorful lights hung around the square, illuminating the dark streets, and the cheerful voices of the people could be heard from every corner. At the festival, Bob's canvas was once again unveiled, his magical brush glistening in his hand. "This festival is here to reveal the hope that lies within each of us," he declared. Then, waving his brush, he painted a massive mural on a huge wall. In the mural, figures of diverse skin tones and various cultural backgrounds were depicted holding hands as they marched together toward a hopeful future. In one corner of the painting, the message read, "Together, we can brighten every darkness." That night, the townspeople gathered in front of the mural. As they stared in awe at Bob's magnificent work of art, tears and smiles alike testified to the fact that they were leaving behind the sorrows of the past and looking toward a hopeful future. Throughout the festival, people conversed, letting go of old grievances and forming new friendships. Bob Ross's magical brush had that night not only colored the walls, but also painted hope into the hearts of the people. Over time, the town evolved from a mere settlement into a shining example of social unity that inspired the world. The media spread the stories of Bob Ross and Emily's work, highlighting how art could heal deep wounds. Young people flocked to the workshops held in the town. The elderly recalled fond memories of earlier days, and the new generation began to develop projects filled with hope for the future. Bob's brush, once considered a legend, had become the symbol of genuine change. In every class he taught, Bob Ross would remind everyone, "Remember, every brushstroke is a spark of hope. Every color repaints our hearts." Emily, uniting people from all walks of life, continued to develop projects that reinforced the unifying power of art. The town gradually transformed into a place filled with messages of love, tolerance, and unity, instead of prejudice, division, and fear. In the end, Bob Ross and the townspeople, through the power of their brushes and the strength of their hearts, sent a resounding message to the world. Together, we can overcome any darkness. Their story became an inspiring tale for every new generation, a reminder that art and hope are powerful enough to heal even the deepest wounds. Bob Ross's magical brush was etched into memory as more than just a tool for painting. It had become a symbol that connected people and touched their hearts. And so, the hopeful colors rising from the narrow streets of the town spread across the world. With every brushstroke and every line drawn, the shared hope and love of humanity echoed. Bob Ross's legacy, a tribute to art, love, and the yearning for unity, continued to shine light on the future. Because true change begins with small steps, with love, and with brushstrokes made together.